Hi, readers. This is Lori. Welcome back to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper, and welcome to those of you who are new. And thanks for your patience with me being a little bit off kilter with the videos recently. I know that you do not need me to say that I'm sorry, but I did want you to know that I am fine. Some of you have asked, and I have had a bunch of things happening. So I started off with right before Christmas, I got sick. I had some kind of a little bug. I got over that. Then, as we went into the new year, Lisa got sick. Then I got sick again. And then I got sick again last week. So it's just been a lot of sickness, viruses, infections. Also, we have taken on a foster dog who is on hospice care with us, which is never easy. And we're trying to just help him to transition. His owner died, and he's been in the shelter for a little bit, but he has heartworms and he has a very, very bad hip condition, and he's very overweight. So we're trying to mitigate some of the pain and symptoms that he's experiencing and likely help him to transition over the Rainbow Bridge, which is not easy. So my ability to work was backed up a little bit because of being sick, and I was out for several days. And then just, trying to make sure that I manage everything that's important as a result of being away or being in a caregiving situation with Boogie is his name. Now, Boogie and I and Lisa are all working together on this and helping him. So it's not just me for sure, but I did want you to know that I'm fine. And several of you have asked about Boogie as well, because I did post him on Facebook, but he's just hanging in there. I don't know. We have to find a time where we and the people at the shelter in Mobile, Alabama agree that, he's really ready to transition, but it's hard to know that. And I don't think we're there yet, but we're hoping for and praying for something to come to us that makes us realize that, oh yeah, indeed, it's time to help him to, to transition. So that's a dark and difficult way to start this video, but I did want to just make sure. And I know you guys are so patient when I don't have the ability or the bandwidth to be able to film some videos. So I appreciate that very much. And I'm hoping to get a little bit ahead in the next week or so, but we will, just take it as we can, right? And so if you don't see me here and there, you'll know that's probably why. Now, today, one of the things that I wanted to bring to you is a video about books to adaptation, both in series and movie. Some that I have read and watched, some that I have read and not watched, and then a few that I haven't read at all and I haven't watched either. And I just realized I left one in the other room. So let me go get that and I'll be right back. Okay, so I realized when I went out there's two of these that I need to talk about. Also, I haven't done my nails and I hate that, but it's just I haven't had the opportunity to do that. So it just is what it is. I'm coming in just, all me, right? All right, let's talk about the books that I have both read and watched the adaptations of. And I'll, of course, share with you a little bit about each of them, but also which ones I've really enjoyed the most. So the first one that I have read and watched is Robert Harris, Conclave. I love this so much that I want to read everything that Robert Harris has ever written, but it'll take me a while. There's a lot. Conclave was really a book that it was propulsive for me. The same about the movie. I loved them both equally, truly, which doesn't happen very often, as you'll probably see in a minute. But it's so well done. So it starts off with the Pope dying and all of the other cardinals coming in to do their part. They all sort of have an assignment when this sort of thing happens. And there's immediately some discontent about what might have happened to him and who was with him. And so this goes on to not only go through the process of choosing another pope, but also to find out, did the Pope just die? He was old, lots of popes live to be very, very old. Did he just pass on, or did something else happen to him? The power of God, the ambition of men is what the little blurb is on the cover, and that really does kind of describe it all. I highly recommend both the book and the movie. If I were you, I guess I would read the book first, but I don't think it would matter. To be honest, I enjoyed it just as much, I think, as I would have either way. All right, then The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. I really do like Ruth Ware. I've talked about her a lot over the years. And this one is one that I really did enjoy. It's been a while since I read it, so it could be time for a reread to sort of see what would be different now. But I did watch the movie recently. I was very excited about it coming out, but I was also not certain how I was going to enjoy it. It stars Keira Knightley and a number of other actors that I really admire and enjoy. I did not really like the movie much at all. It was okay. I guess if I were to rate the movie, it was about a 3 star, but it just did not have the same punch and the same suspenseful plotting propulsion as the book did for me. And yeah, I just can't say that it was something that I appreciated as much as I wanted to. However, everybody's different. You may have loved it. You may love it when you watch it. You may not have loved this book or wanted to watch the adaptation. All those are fine, but this one just didn't hit the park for me. Then I have also read and watched Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus, and I really did enjoy both of these. I think the book for me was slightly better than the adaptation, but I did still really enjoy it. This one's been out for a bit, both the adaptation and the book, but this is about a woman who is a chemist and she's brilliant and probably neurodivergent. And she meets someone at the workplace that she is in. This is set back in the 50s, I think. Is it the 50s? 60s, early 60s. She has an all male team at her research center, and she meets a guy there who is, befriending her, and she's kind of hard to befriend. I will say that she's tricky. The book begins with her and her child, so you know from the beginning of this book that she has a child, but you're not sure how that occurs. And she eventually starts to host a cooking show because what else does chemistry marry with better than the way that ingredients will mix into a beautiful pie or cake or something wonderful? So that is why this one really appealed to me, because it is kind of out of the box thinking. A book about women set in the 60s. Loved this cover. Lots of buzz about it when it first came out, and still people to this day talk about this book a good bit, and they liken some of the new releases to this, including the one that I've just recently discovered as an anticipated read and probably will get to very soon is Meet the Newmans, and a lot of people have compared this to that. But except that the Meet the Newmans has a sort of, for me, a more of a Leave It to Beaver kind of theme. But I really enjoyed this one, and I'm glad that both of them were good. And in the same vein, this one is one that I read, The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. This is a series that I'd like to get more of read this year. Had all of them except for the newest one on my backlist, so that one will be a new one for me. But I loved the way that they adapted this series to this book, and I enjoyed it very, very much. The characters that were in this novel are older. They live in this retirement home. Some of them are in better health than others. A new woman moves into the retirement home and she gets to know some of these people. And this group of folks who are all from very different backgrounds and different sort of experiences and work that they did, they all get together to solve a murder that's occurred nearby. And this one will go on and on and on, apparently, because I think there's 6 in the series, 5 for sure. But this adaptation is the only one that's currently out. However, we're going to talk about one in a minute. That's not the last you'll see of this one as an adaptation. If I were to choose, I think I liked the book slightly more in this case too, but that's usually true for me. But I did really, really enjoy the adaptation. Pierce Brosnan stars in it, and oh, I can see her face. It's what is her name? Helen Mirren. How could I not remember that? Helen Mirren and Celia Imrie. And great cast, great adaptation. Really felt like it was a good um, tribute to this book and essentially to this series. All right, let me move these and then we'll start on the next ones. There's so many today. Now we're going to go to these two books that are books that I have read, and the series has not been watched by me. One is not out yet, and one is out. I haven't watched it. So the first one is that one, Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. I want to read this next one that she's written as well and have not done, but this one is now made into an adaptation, and I don't know why I have hesitated. I loved this book so much. This was actually the book, I think, in the first Mardi Gras readathon that I read because I thought it would be great for the prompt of reading a book about cake. 2022, this was published. I love this book. So this is a story of a woman who's passed away. Her children come to settle the, agreements that she's put in place for herself when she passes, and they meet with the guy who's an attorney, estate planner guy, and he tells them that in order for them to complete the requirements that she's laid down in her will, they have to do some things. And one of those things is they have to listen to or read her story. And I can't remember if they have to read it or listen to it, to be honest. I think they listen to it. Yeah. So she reveals a lot about her life to her children, a woman and a man. So both of these children were not particularly close in recent days anyway, and they had not necessarily spent as much time with their mother. In one case, the girl, I think, she wasn't kind of visiting a whole lot. But this woman in this book tells them her whole life story, essentially, and things that they never knew. And so it goes back in time to her story, which I love. So dual timelines, dual stories, past, present. Also, what I love is that it was not predictable. It was rich in culture because this particular woman is from the Caribbean. We've just talked about this last night because people say it differently all the time. But this one is set in present day California. So the woman has obviously been around and she's been around to a number of places that they had no idea had occurred. So I love this one. I love this cover. So colorful. And I highly recommend the book. I think it was a 5-star read for me. But again, I don't know about the adaptation yet, so we'll see. And then this one was also, I think, a 5-star for me. Taylor Jenkins Reid, who I read recently. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is being made into I think it's a series, but it could be a movie. Don't quote me on either of those. But this one was, I think, my first Taylor Jenkins Reid read. And I loved this. This is also historical fiction to some degree because it goes back into this woman's life as an actress before she was an actress, and then, of course, when she became an actress and married 7 men. But also it shows you and shares with you the history of women in movies at that time and women in the industry and how they were treated, what the expectations were. And it even goes into some of the expectations for men as well. And I won't say anything to spoil this because it is a bit of a surprise. But not unlike Black Cake, this one begins with Evelyn Hugo meeting with a young girl that she has chosen to interview her and to write her memoir. And the girl is very confused about that because she's not very famous and she has never met Evelyn Hugo before, and it's just such a surprise. But they begin this storytelling process, much like Black Cake, and she learns everything about this woman from sort of start to finish in terms of her relationship, her career, relationships, career, and just, the things that worked for her and the things that were challenging. Highly, highly, highly recommend this one. Both of these would really work for you. And I guess this one would work for a Mardi Gras readathon prompt if you wanted to do that. And this one probably would too, because it's about, parties and a group of people, 7 husbands and her, and, a number of things. So either one of these probably would work. I didn't even think about that for the other books. But so now let's get to the ones that I have that I haven't read or watched the adaptation. Some of these, the adaptation is not out yet. No, that's not true. One of these I did watch the adaptation for. All right. So the one that I have seen and not read is Down Cemetery Road. Mick Herron. I have never read anything by Mick Herron before and had not heard of this book nor this author until it became a series, I think on Apple TV, but don't quote me on that, that I discovered. And my partner and I both said, oh, let's give this a go. And we watched it pretty much we devoured it in 2 nights. I don't think it took us very long at all. All right, here's why this one really kind of compelled me to get from my library, where I may not get to read it before it's due back, but this one starred Ruth Wilson and Emma Thompson. I did not know that it was an adaptation based on a book, for one, but also I really enjoyed them very, very much, and I enjoyed the series very, very much. But then I thought, oh, I want to see, what this author is like. Turns out he's very prolific. He's written a ton of books. I'd never heard of him. And here we go, another situation where I will be reading the book after that I've seen the adaptation because I had no idea. But this guy is super, super prolific. So this one is about a house that explodes in Oxford in a suburb, and a child is then missing in the aftermath. So one of the neighbors, Sarah Tucker, had just seen the child right before the night of the explosion. She had friends over. It damaged her house in some ways. And she's really worried about this child. She's an art she does art repair. I don't know what you call that. I do know, but it's not coming to me. So she looks at paintings and she authenticates them, and she, tries to, I guess, repair certain things. But that's what her role is. She's in a marriage. She's not particularly keen about this guy or her neighbors that come over. Few of them she's very keen on, but she's out on a quest to find this child. Meanwhile, the character whose name is, does it say? No. Is a bit of a detective, as is her husband, and there's a complex relationship there as well. But those two come together in a way that I will not spoil, and this was very, very well done. I really enjoyed this, and the characters were raw and sometimes challenging in the series, and I suspect they will be here. Then I have been thinking about this one for a bit as well, because this came out and I have not read or watched either of these. This is The Running Man by Stephen King, which was originally published by Richard Bachman. This was its anniversary year, I think, and so everybody's talking about it. And this is a newer adaptation. There's been one before this, so this one's been out for a long, long time. But this is about Ben Richards, and he has no money, no job, terrible relationships, really struggling. And he's in dystopian America. So he participates in one of these TV shows that you're probably familiar with now, because they keep happening here as well, as a contestant. And The Running Man is a 30-day struggle to stay alive as someone else is trying to catch the running man or men. I really think that this is the time to read it, because I have been watching so many of these shows as well, adaptations like The Traitors and others that are real life experiences that for me are mysterious. I don't really like the ones that are like they're dating, and Love Island and The Bachelor. I used to watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette a long time ago. I don't watch those anymore, but I love The Traitors very, very much. There's very few of those that I still watch. And I like the musical ones where people sing. But in this case, this sort of sounds a little like that, except that, obviously the traitors don't actually really die. But in this case, this guy could die. And I think this is the time to both read and watch it. This one also I have not finished and have wanted to since I read The Lincoln Highway by Amor Towles. This is a gentleman in Moscow, and there's been an adaptation out of this for quite some time. I would like to get to this chunker this year because it is still, something that I really want to watch. This is a little over 460 pages, so it could be a big book summer read. This is about a man who's arrested. His name is Count Alexander Rostov, and he is by a tribunal in Bolshevik, he is rated and considered unrepentant aristocrat and sentenced to live in this house on house arrest in this hotel, sorry. And so I really have wanted to get to this. People talk about it all the time. I'd like to read A More Tolls to Zero. He seems like a wonderful guy as well. I've seen him interviewed, and yeah, he just seems like terrific. His Lincoln Highway novel, which is the only one I've read, was very difficult at times, but it was so good. I really ran through that one quickly. It's also pretty large, and I think that I will run through this one quickly too, based on what I'm hearing from people who have loved and read it. But I have always loved this cover. The guy who's in the movie, and I can see his face, and I'm not going to look it up because I don't want to keep doing that to you, but he's not my favorite actor ever, but I suspect he does a great job. You may have seen both, but I have not. All right. And then back to Richard Osman, book two, The Man Who Died Twice. This is in production to be released as a series very soon. And so this is book two. So it would be great for me to go ahead and get started on this now before that adaptation is released. So I don't want to say a whole lot about this one. Look, Kate Atkinson blurbed the first one and Harlan Coben blurbed this one. You can't go wrong with that. And I love these covers, but this is about the same murder club. They're still all riding high off their recent murder case, and they're looking forward to some peace. And then an unexpected visitor arrives desperate for help and has been accused of stealing diamonds and being with the wrong group of people. That's all I'm going to say, but clearly somebody's going to die, and I would like to, again, finish this faster than I had maybe planned. So this one's blurred by Kate Atkinson on the back as well, Sherry LaPina, Jeffrey Deaver, and Joe Hill. All great authors as well, but I have really enjoyed this series. I like these people, and so again, I'd like to get a little bit farther in that this year, and that's a backlist. I've had it for a bit. And then the last one is a book I added to my Mardi Gras readathon possible prompts, although now I'm not sure that that's going to work, but it is based on the movie of this one is based on this book, which is The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. And I have wanted to read this for a while, and I cannot remember for sure if I watched that movie or not. I feel like maybe I did, but it stars Anthony Hopkins, and I think Emma Thompson might be in this one too. But I have just had it for a bit and not picked it up. It's very short, honestly. It wouldn't take me long to read. But I picked this one for the Mardi Gras readathon prompt because I thought it was going to be a book about royalty, but I'm not sure that it will be, because the beginning of this book shares with you, and I don't think that's a spoiler, that it is it has been acquired by an American. And, you know, Americans are typically not accepted into the UK as royalty, but we shall see if this kind of picks up. But it is about people who work in this castle, which is Darlington in post-war England. And it talks about the butler, the perfect English butler, who's played by Anthony Hopkins, and how he is reacting to this change in both the culture of the country in these, you know, older royal castles, and how his work is changing, and how, you know, things are just a little bit unsettling for him. So he's going to kind of process this, I think, and of course get to know his new boss, his new employer, and somehow Emma Thompson, I think, gets into this as well. I think he's already started to have a little bit of conversation about her. I've really just not read much of this. I think her name is Mrs. Simons, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's Miss Kenton. Nevertheless, I would like to get to this because it is a classic. It is a book that I have wanted to read for a long time. It won the Nobel Prize in Literature, and I suspect it is also a great movie, and it's been out for a while, that movie and this book. So this one was published in 1988. Talk about a backlist, right? Originally, I think 1954, maybe. I don't know, but goodness sakes, it's time for me to to start that one and finish it. Shouldn't take long, right? All right, guys, that is the group of movies, series, adaptations, and books that I am either finished with, interested in, or am anticipating that I might do a reread of them because I have enjoyed them so much. So you never know. I say that all the time, and then do I reread? We'll see. I can't wait to hear in the comments what you've thought about these books, if you've read them, the adaptations, of course, as well, and which ones you like in terms of what you've seen or read. And then also, if you have read and seen adaptations that I have not talked about today, I can't wait for you to share those with me too, because I do love to watch an adaptation from a book that I have loved. And there are a lot of them. This isn't even, the there's lots and lots and lots to come. But this was a good sampling, I thought, of what I have and what I could share with you today. So take good care of yourself during this flu season and virus season and whatever else is happening around you. This is a challenging time for sure in so many ways. And I have been watching some people and talking to some people who are, really experiencing some things that they don't usually. And this is the season. I need to check on my brother-in-law today because he had open heart surgery yesterday, and he was doing really well last night. But I need to check in on him too. So whatever you're going through, take good care of yourself, get support as needed, lean on your friends here in BookTube, in the community, and in other ways as well. And as always, happy reading and watching. Bye.